Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. May we request everybody to observe a moment of silence as we have our invocation. And to open our today's events, let us all welcome City of Malabon University's Vice President for Academic Affairs and Dean of the College of Business and Accountancy, Professor Melissa Grace Sison Oreta.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who attended, especially our guest speaker. And of course, our university president is with us tonight. Maraming salamat. I just wanted to give an overview of what the bed talks is. Actually, the bed is not where we sleep, but bed actually stands for the business of education development. Prior to the pandemic, we were certain what kind of skills our students needed 5 years, 10 years from now, or even 20 years from now. But with the pandemic in 2020, a lot of things have changed. Whatever was predicted by the World Economic Forums or World Skills or even SHED themselves actually have changed. And the management of CMU, especially the academic clusters, strongly feel being educators, we need to constantly innovate. We need to constantly be open for various views and perspectives. That's why we created the Bed Talks. It's actually a monthly event wherein all faculty members are invited just to listen to speakers who are expert in their fields. For tonight, our speaker is a social enterprise guru, I must say. But in the next month, it will be another topic. Just like what my mentor said, Professor Tommy Lopez, it's an aha moment. You don't know when you're going to get an idea, when you're going to spark that innovation, but it's by exposing ourselves, listening to various people, reading many materials, learning, listening to lectures, and I think you just get that aha moment. And when you do, it will always be nice to include this in our syllabus, in our lesson plans, or in our lectures to our students. Because as we constantly learn, our students benefit. And as long as we continue to raise the quality of education in our university, it only benefits the student body. And alam naman po natin, whatever benefits our students at ang kanilang pagganda ng kanilang pag-aaral is part of nation building, especially for the city of Malabon. That's why we invest in such endeavors such as this. So this is our first Bed Talks, and we will have it every month. And I hope we learn something from tonight, and we get a few ideas. I know we have just done our curricular review, but definitely whatever we hear tonight, it's something we can always implement. We can always get a perspective or a new view, which will definitely benefit our students. And I think we're on Facebook Live tonight, so I'll say hi to the student body and the whole CMU community and alumni. So for everybody who's here, our guest speaker, I think our university president will introduce him more in detail. And to all the deans, to all our vice presidents, our MANCO members, and all faculty members, welcome to our first Bed Talks, the Business Education Development Talks. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you, Prof. Melissa. And now to give us an inspiration message and also to introduce our speaker for tonight, let us all welcome our University President, City of Malabon Mayor Antolin A. Oreta III.
Magandang hapon sa ating lahat. Unang-una, nagpapasalamat ako sa ating guest speaker, no? Papakilala ko siya a little bit. But madami na nangyayari sa ating eskwelahan. At dahan-dahan natin napapaganda, hindi lang yung facade, but yung kultura sa eskwelahan. In fact, just this year alone, it's the first time after 27 years na accredit ang City of Malabon University sa Alcocoa at malaking karangalan yon. At nagpapasalamat ako sa lahat na nangyari yon itong taon na to. So itong papakilala ko, ito ay mas bata akong pinsan. Kung may ito epitome of an ideal student, siya na yon. Alam mo, napakahirap pag taon-taon inaasahan ka ng mga magulang ng iba na kukunin mo lahat ng medalya sa eskwelahan. Kasi yun ang ginawa niya eh. His whole student life, he was the best of the best. At mahirap yun kala ko, yung nag-aaral ako sa boarding school, meron mandatory study hall, nag-aaral ako 3 hours a day. Sabi ko, tingin ko, magda-number 1 na ako nito. Ngayon lang sa buhay ko, nag-aaral ako 3 hours a day. But unfortunately, may ranking. Nakita ko ranking ko high school 4 out of 44. Ibig sabihin, may 3 pang mas magaling sa akin kahit nag-aaral ako 3 hours a day. Sabi ko, nako, posible, ang hirap pala. Hirap mag-aral. Kaya after that, di na ako nag-aaral. Ano na lang, pinipilit ko lang pumasa. And si Senator Bam, I'm sure he won't forget. I would go to his house every Saturday kasi when I came back from the States from exile, my parents came back. We came back. I would I would force his older brother to do my homework. And his older brother, hirap ang bagal gawin yung homework ko. Tagal. Ilan oras, doon ako nagtatambay sa bahay nila. Hindi ako iniimbita, kaso doon ako para gawin yung homework ko. At pupunta ako lunchtime, makikilunch ako, uwi ako, gabi na. Kasi tagal gawin. Si Bam, inuuto ko, gawin yung homework ko, ayaw niya gawin eh. But I'm sure kaya niya gawin kahit mas bata siya. Ayaw lang niya, no? Mas marunong siya. But Bam Aquino, my cousin, is a former senator and deputy minority leader for the Senate of the Philippines. He has chaired various Senate committees and has authored and sponsored several landmark laws, including the Philippine Competition Act, Free Access to the Internet and Public Spaces Act, at malaking pasasalamat natin sa kanya because of that, and the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, which made college and all state universities free for millions of Filipino students. Aquino was also founder and president of Micro Ventures Incorporated, a social enterprise that seeks to eliminate poverty through microfinance and new business development through its flagship Happy Noy program. So we have a lot of things to be thankful for Senator Bam for all the laws na napapasa niya. Definitely yung libreng tuition sa pagpasok sa ating universities. Senator Bam, maraming salamat. And without further ado, I would like to introduce my younger cousin, who is far more definitely more intelligent than me. No? Okay, former Senator Bam Aquino. Thank you, Bam.
Thank you, Mayor Len. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. And I'd like to thank Kuya Len. I'll call him Kuya Len, no? Because that's what I call him, no? Kuya Len at Melissa for inviting me. And syempre po sa lahat ng mga kaibigan natin sa City of Malabon University, magandang hapon po sa inyo, sa mga teachers, mga estudyante, lahat ng mga nagbubuo ng inyong universidad, magandang hapon po. So today I'll be giving a short lecture about SME development, no? Si Ate Melissa asked me kung anong topic yung magandang pag-usapan. And maybe just to give a little background, this last year in 2020, sa height of the pandemic, na ine-expect po natin na napakarami po ang nawalan ng trabaho, either totally nawalan or nag-flexible work hours po sila, kaya bumaba po yung kanilang family income. Nagkaroon po ng 50,000 new entrepreneurs. No? 50,000 po na tao sa kalagitnaan ng isang pandemya nagrehistro sa DTI para maging negosyante. No, of course, these are individuals na palagay ko po napilitan na magnegosyo, no, dahil nawalan po ng ibang opportunities, no. Pero ma-imagine ho natin, yan lang po yung nag-register. You can imagine mas madami pa yung hindi po nagrehistro. So we have become a country of entrepreneurs, no. Kung noon po napakarami ng mga negosyante po natin, ngayon dihamak mas marami pa, no. Dihamak mas marami pa dahil po sa pangangailangan. And these are things that I will share about MSME development which you could probably implement in Malabon, in your schools, yung mga estudyante po natin, yung mga teachers, no, marami ho sa atin dito. I know there's 147 here and there's even probably more on Facebook. Marami po sa atin dahil po sa pangangailangan napipilitang magnegosyo, no. So baka ho makatulong po ito sa atin. Before I talk about MSME development, let me talk about Kuya Len muna ng konti, no? Kasi nagkwento po siya nung aking kabataan, no? He's my older cousin, no? Hindi niya alam, idol ko po yan, no? Sila po ng kuya ko. May Kuya PV and Hib, 1 year apart. Tapos kami po ni Mayor Len, 6 years po yung agwat namin. Sa kuya ko po, 7 years yung agwat namin. I don't know if he remembers this, but there was one time, pag Sunday, binibisita po namin yung lola ko, no? So, ibig sabihin po noon, pupunta po kami sa bahay po nila Ninang Tessie, nila Tito Len, and of course ni Mayor Len, no? This is back in the 90s. Bibisita po kami sa bahay po nila at bibisitahin po namin yung aming lola, no? Every Sunday po yan. And there was one time, umuwi po si Kuya Len, napansin po namin, wala na pong ngipin. Wala na ho siyang ngipin. So nagtataka kami, ano nangyari, di ba? Ba't walang ngipin? Kaya ito lang po masasabi ko, wag na wag po kayong makikipag-basketball kay Mayor Len tapos babalyahin niyo siya. Kasi yan po, si Mayor Len, napakatapang po niyan. Kahit mas malalaki po yung bumalya sa kanya, hindi po siya pumayag na magpabalya. No? And kahit siniko po siya sa muka, talaga pinaglaban po niya yung kanyang sarili at yung mga barkada niya. Kaya idol na idol ko po yan. So si Mayor Len po, mukhang napakabait, mukhang napakaayos, pero di nyo lang po alam, napakatapang po niyan. Huwag niyo pong hahabulin sa basketball.
Binubuking mo
Okay.
ako, ikaw talaga.
Baka di nila alam eh. Okay, so let's go to the lecture. So before I ran in the Senate, no, bago po ako naging senador, bago po yung politika, ako po yung isang social entrepreneur. No? Next slide, please. And back in 2008, tinayo po namin yung Happy Noy program. No? Ano po yon? Isa po yung social enterprise. Ibig sabihin po noon, pinaghalo po namin yung social development tsaka yung pagdinegosyo. Because back then, either nagdenegosyo ka and therefore for-profit ka or isa kang NGO, no? At tumutulong ka sa paraan ng pagbibigay ng ayuda, sa paraan ng pagbibigay ng scholarship at iba-iba pa. No, at that time in 2008, almost 13 years ago, nagsimula po yung movement na social enterprise, no? Ibig ko sabihin nun, gagamitin yung pagdinegosyo para makatulong sa mga komunidad na talagang nangangailangan. Of course, sa ating pong bansa, makikita ho natin na yung siyang paraan lang talaga upang ang isang pamilya makatawid, no, makalampas sa kahirapan is kung yung asawa meron pong magandang trabaho o di kaya po merong negosyo na kumikita para sa kanilang pamilya. So around that time, nagkaroon po ng movement. Tulungan natin yung mga maliliit na maging successful, no? Makalampas doon sa kanilang kinalalagyan gamit po yung pagdinegosyo. And I was very happy to be part of that, no? So doon po ako sa sektor na yon for over 7 years, no? Doon po ako bumabad talaga sa mga microfinance institutions, iba't ibang mahihirap na komunidad sa South Luzon, hanggang po sa Kabikulan. And in 2013, tumakbo po tayo, thankfully nanalo. And my first law was actually the Go Negosyo Act. No? Next slide, please. So, nasa Senado na po tayo and we passed the Go Negosyo Act in 2014. This was my first law. At yung laman po ng batas na yan, yung pagbuo ng mga support systems para sa ating maliliit na negosyo. In fact, we have a negosyo center in Malabon. Next slide, please. And Mayor Len was, of course, very kind, and Ate Melissa were very kind to launch it. Actually, ngayon po, almost all cities and municipalities na po sa buong Pilipinas, meron na pong negosyo center. No? Next slide, please. Ano po yung laman ng Go Negosyo Act? No? Simple-simple lang. No? Meron po siyang hangarin na matulungan yung mga maliliit na negosyo sa 3 M. No? Money, market, and mentorship. Mahalaga po ito, money, market, and mentorship. And in fact, if you were to ask me ano yung foundation ng kahit anong successful na negosyo, whether maliit po ito o malaki, is the 3 M's. No? Money, market, mentorship. Kailangan po ng puhunan. Yung puhunan po, maraming paraan para kumuha po ng puhunan. No? Sometimes, it's a microfinance institution or a rural bank, or sometimes it's a government program. No? Sometimes, it's 5-6. No? And of course, ang mahalaga po dito is matulungan po natin yung ating mga kababayan, ating mga estudyante or fellow teachers na maging mas maalam pagdating sa paghahawak ng pera. No, another law that we passed a few years later was the Youth Entrepreneurship Act. No, batas na po ito, but this is an unimplemented law. Basically, nakasaad po sa batas na yon na kailangan tinuturo ang financial literacy sa lahat ng antas ng ating edukasyon. No, bakit? Dahil nakita ho natin na yung paghahawak ng pera o financial literacy ay mahina po ang Pilipino. No? There was a study that came out, my worldwide ranking on financial literacy, and unfortunately, mababa po yung Pilipinas. No? Kaya doon po tayo na-udyok na ipasa po yung batas na yon. No? So DepEd, CHED, dapat, no, by now sana, pero hindi pa po nai-implement, dapat merong aspects of financial literacy and entrepreneurship in the curriculum at all levels. No? Yung favorite example ko po dyan, yung ginagawa ho noon ng isang South American country, and that South American country, yung pagturo nila ng financial literacy sa grade 2. Okay? So they said they start their financial literacy lessons at the grade 2 level, and what they would do is every day magpapaset aside sila dun sa mga bata ng piso-piso, no? Kukonti lang, piso-piso every day na savings. No, every day mag-iimpok sila every day. And then at the end of the semester, babasagin nila yung mga alkansya and magsha-shopping sila kasama ng mga bata. And in that study, no, in that case study, sabi doon na just by doing that simple lesson of savings and eventually being able to buy something that you like, no, for the children, napakahalagang punla na po yan, no? It's a very important seed in terms of financial literacy. Sa atin po, mahina ho tayo sa financial literacy. Alam ho natin na marami pong young professionals, pagka-graduate, maaalo ka ng credit card, within 3 months, baon sa utang. Alam ho natin na marami sa mga teachers ho natin sa DepEd, for example, nagkaroon ng isang issue po dyan nung nakita yung over-indebtedness ng ating mga guro, ng ating kapulisan. No? Marami ho, no? Sa ating mga professionals, over-indebted po sila, meaning baon po sila sa utang. No? So, itong financial literacy, pagiging maalam sa paghawak ng pera, saan pwede kumuha ng puhunan, ano yung pagtrato mo sa interest, sa principal, income, sales, no? This is something na foundation po yan, no, ng pagdinegosyo. Unfortunately, medyo kulang pa po, no? Kulang pa po ang ating mga kababayan sa gantong kaalaman. So we hope, no, we can also help bolster, no, this advocacy. Yung pangalawa po is mentorship, no? Ano po yung mentorship? Yung mentorship, ibig sabihin yan, kapag may kailangan kang advice or meron kang kailangan na tulong, meron kang mapupuntahan. At yung pinakamainam na mentors are actually those who have gone through the business already or nagnegosyo na, no? Which is why pagdating po sa pagnenegosyo, yung pinakamagaling na nagtuturo po diyan, yung mga may negosyo na talaga. Those who have gone through putting up and running a business, having a payroll, having to go to a bank to borrow money, lahat po ng mga steps na yan, sabi nga nila, pinakamagandang eskwelahan diyan yung school of experience, no? So, having a mentor simply means being able to link up yung mga nagdinegosyo na at sabihin na nating nakaranas na ng paghihirap at nakaranas na ng mga ups and downs po ng pagdinegosyo at nililink po natin sa mga nagsisimula pa lang. The third M for me is the most important, no, yung market. Ito po yung 3 M's, no? Ano yung market linkage, no? Ibig ko sabihin yan is kung meron tayong mga programa, no? Meron tayong programs to support our MSMEs, meron din tayong programa na matulungan sila na makapagbenta ng kanilang produkto, no? Because through the years, ang government programs po natin, no, especially sa DTI, no, before 2013, ang focus po talaga niya training towards production, no? Kung paano gumawa ng scented candles, kung paano gumawa ng mga chichirya, kung ngayon parang butcheron ata yung uso ngayon, no? Kung paano gumawa ng kung ano-ano. Pero hindi naman po natuturo o hindi po natutulungan pagdating sa pagbebenta, no? Yung isa pa pong aspeto ngayon ng market linkage is of course online selling, no? Marami po doon sa 50,000 new entrepreneurs last year, nakasandal po 'yan lahat sa internet, no? And in fact, if there's one industry na talagang sumabog o nag-boom, it's really online selling, no? Whether it's on Facebook, Shopee, Lazada, Carousel, napakarami ng mga lugar o napakarami ng mga sites na pwede ka magbenta na hindi mo na kailangan ng pwesto, no? Noon po, kakailangan mo ng pwesto. Sabi nga nila, location is everything. But now, yung L ho na yan, hindi na po location, logistics na po ngayon. Because now, as long as may paraan ka para ma-deliver yung produkto mo, hindi mo na talaga kailangan ng pwesto ngayon, no? So, each of these M's nagbabago po yan. Yung money, mentorship, tsaka market, nagbabago po siya, nag-evolve po siya. But those 3 M's, for any successful business, kailangan po yung tulong dyan, no? And, you know, government has a role to play. The negosyo centers, they run a lot of training programs where malilink up po yung mga maliliit na negosyante sa mga mentors. They do have a list of different financing opportunities at the negosyo center. And hopefully, no, mas maka-improve rin sila dun sa pagtulong sa market linkage. No? These are the 3 basics of the Go Negosyo Act seen now in our negosyo centers. Next slide, please. If I'm not mistaken, sa Malabon ba yun? I'm not sure. But right now, meron na pong, hindi yan sa Malabon. Meron ng 1,154 negosyo centers in the whole Philippines. So by this year, they're going to hit 100%. All cities and municipalities will have negosyo centers nationwide. And by the way, buhay po sila. They're alive and operational even during the pandemic. Next slide. Alright, so nung tayo po yung napunta sa Senado, no, the basic theme of most of the laws that we passed and yung pinakabuod po ng aming pamamahala nung 6 years po natin sa Senado was inclusive growth. No? Ano pong ibig sabihin nun? Ibig po sabihin nun that when you experience growth, no, and when I came in 2013, yung Pilipinas po was experiencing tremendous growth. No? In fact, you could even say hanggang pandemic, no, meron tayong growth, no, from 2009, 2010 all the way to 2019, no. The Philippines was experiencing record-breaking growth, no, especially in the years of 2013 to about 2017. Nung panahon po 'yon, there would be certain quarters of the year na mas maganda pa yung growth natin kaysa sa China, no. Can you imagine that? So this was a time of tremendous growth for our country. Pero ano po yung napansin ng marami? And I'm sure napansin nyo rin po ito. Yung growth po na yon was not inclusive. It was concentrated. No? Nakaipon po siya. No? Nakaipon po siya sa ilang lugar, sa Metro Manila, Metro Cebu, Metro Davao. Nakaipon po siya sa ilang industriya. Nakaipon po siya sa ilang pamilya. No? It's concentrated. Hindi siya nakakalat, no, sa mas maraming mga lugar. And yung pinaka-goal ng inclusive growth meant na kung merong kasaganaan sa ating bansa, dapat mas marami po yung nakakaramdam po nito. And when you look at the case studies in all parts of the world about inclusive growth, they will point to two very important aspects that promotes inclusive growth. Yung una po dyan, nabanggit ko na po, MSME development. No? Yung pag-support sa mga maliliit na negosyo is one of the main drivers of inclusive growth. Bakit? Because kung meron ho tayong malakas, robust, malakas na MSME sector, yung kasaganaan na maramdaman po ng mga malalaking kumpanya, yan po ay aabot sa mga malalayong lugar, sa mga mas mahihirap na komunidad dahil maraming mga negosyong kasama po, no, sa ating formal economy. So MSME development was a clear path towards inclusive growth. Yung pangalawa, alam na alam niyo po yan, and that of course is accessible education. No? Because through accessible education, our citizens, our youth will be able to get better jobs and better incomes. So kung mapansin po ninyo, sa lahat ng mga batas po na nagawa po natin, yung dalawa po na pinaka-favorite po talaga natin is the Free College Act and the Go Negosyo Act. Because pareho siyang tumpak pagdating sa inclusive growth. No? Now, ang problema ho natin is different. No? Iba po yung problema natin. Kung noon po, yung problema natin, how to share in the wealth, yung problema ho natin ngayon is how to rebound from an economic downturn. No? Ngayon po na bagsak ang ating ekonomiya, no? If I'm not mistaken, negative 11% po tayo this quarter. No? Ang tanong po, paano tayo makakatayo? No? Now, once the vaccination program starts, which we're hoping in the third or fourth quarter, mas magiging mabilis na po yung vaccination program po natin, medyo makikita ho natin magkakaroon po yun ng rebound. No? But, ang kailangan bantayan talaga ng ating policymakers and of course our leaders is that the rebound will not be exclusive. Na pag nag-rebound na po yung ating ekonomiya, talagang bumukas na po yung ekonomiya, nagkaroon ng semblance of normalcy, nagsimula na po yung vaccination, so magkakaroon ng mas maraming confidence na po na lumabas yung mga tao at mag-engage ulit sa economic activity, kailangan siguraduhin na yung growth na iyon, because it's a rebound growth, ay hindi sa iilan labang kung hindi sa mas nakararami. And ano po yun? Hindi ho yan mangyayari ng basta-basta. Kailangan po nakafocus po tayo dyan. We need to be sure that the programs are in place para kapag nag-rebound po tayo, walang sektor yung maiiwan. No? Which again goes back to, pag nag-rebound po tayo, kailangan yung ating MSMEs, yung ating small businesses, kailangan po meron silang parte doon po sa kasaganaan na yon. They share in that rebound process. No? May support programs such that when the rebound comes, handa po sila. No, that might mean loans, that might mean extra programs for them, that might mean support systems para meron silang workers. No? Iba-iba na po yung nagawa sa buong mundo para matulungan yung ating SMEs. Kailangan po natin yan ngayon na pabalik na po tayo towards the rebound part of this pandemic. Yung pangalawa, mahalaga rin, which is education. No? Because as we know, nag-iba po yung edukasyon. No? A lot of our young people and a lot of their parents are having a difficult time Ako po, dalawa po yung anak ko, pareho pong maliliit, and I have to tell you, hindi ho talaga madali itong online learning, no? Marami ho talagang challenges, no? For a lot of families, marami po itong gastos, and even just the physical setup of having a space for education, alam ho nating napakahirap talaga. So kailangan din pong mabantayan na kapag nag-rebound na po yung ating ekonomiya, kailangan nakahanda rin po yung ating educational sector to be able to get back on track. No? Two very important things. No? Next slide, please. So ito pong inclusive growth no, is really important because at the end of the day, yun po yung pinakahinahanap natin. Na yung kasaganaan sa ating bansa, hindi lang po iilan yung makikinabang, kung hindi, mas marami pong makikinabang. I think for every Filipino family, yan po yung hangarin natin. No? And I'd like to focus on our SMEs, kung paano natin matutulungan yung ating SMEs. No? Because as we've seen, no, isa po itong haligi doon po sa ating rebound ng ating ekonomiya, isa po itong haligi pagdating sa inclusive growth. No? Next. So firstly, kailangan po ma-optimize yung financial support for our MSMEs. No? Of course, we know earlier I said money, no? Yung puhunan is very important. Pero hindi hulat ng puhunan ay akma dun sa iba't ibang mga negosyong nasa paligid po natin. Kung maliliit lang po yan, usually it's a microfinance group, it's usually maybe even a government program. Kung mas malaki na po yan, maybe it's a guarantee program for our small businesses. Marami pong kailangan gawin, no? Para matulungan yung ating SMEs. At yung mahalaga po dito, yung financial support na makuha po nila, akma dun sa kanilang sitwasyon. No? Next slide. Kung mapansin po ninyo yung mga programs all over the world, if you've been following American news, no, si Biden just signed a $1.9 trillion relief package. No? Bakit ho napakalaki po ng number na yan? That number is more than their collected tax for 2019, no? If I'm not mistaken. Ganun po kalaki yun. That's how much money they're putting in to their relief package. No? Because they really see that without that support, yung rebound na hinahanap po nila, hindi nila makukuha. No? So, meron ho talagang, there's really a case for government to start to provide more support. No? Kung kailangan utangin, now is the time na kailangan ho tayong umutang, kailangan ho tayong kumuha ng mga suporta na pwede pong maibalik sa tao. Pero yung gusto ko lang po sabihin dito, yes, of course, mahalaga po yung ayuda na diretsa sa pamilya. Even if you look at the American case, meron silang stimulus checks na sinasabi na $1,400. But alongside the support direct to families, no? And in our case, no, yung ayuda po 'yan, yung nagbibigay po ng national and local governments pagdating sa mga relief goods. Alongside that is really support also for your small businesses in your locality. Mahalaga po 'yan because the small businesses will ensure that people have jobs, no? There can be conditional support, meaning kailangan may certain number na mabigay na trabaho or kung ano mga kondisyon. But if you look at most national government programs around the world, kaparehas po niya direct support sa tao and support sa ating SMEs. And that's something I think na kailangan pa talaga tingnan ng ating national government. No? Paano nila ma-unlock yung tulong na yon sa ating small businesses. Next slide, please. A second way to support our SME is really to build an inclusive supply chain. No? Anong ibig sabihin yan? Ibig po sabihin nito is that if we can link our smaller businesses to more formal endeavors or more formal companies, it will mean na mas stable yung ating mga micro, small, and medium enterprises. No? Yung famous example po dito, next slide please, is the example of the Kalasag Farmers and Jollibee. No? The Kalasag Farmers po is a cooperative in San Jose, Nueva Ecija. Of course, Jollibee, alam ho nating lahat. And basically, about a decade ago, 10 years ago, one of the owners of Jollibee, if I'm not mistaken, si Grace Tangkakchong, made a decision na as much as possible, they will source their produce directly from farmers. Now, at that time, they were buying from the market, they were buying imported, they were buying from traders. Sa totoo lang, they didn't really know or they didn't really mind, no, kung saan galing yung kanilang raw materials as long as pasok siya sa presyo. But by making this decision back before, I think this was 2008, when they made this decision na as much as possible, bibili sila directly from farmers, they were able to create genuine growth and development in San Jose, Nueva Ecija. No? So, na-document po yan. It wasn't easy. In the first couple of times, hindi ho maganda yung kalidad ng sibuyas, hindi po nakaka-deliver ng maayos yung mga magsaka. But after 2, 3, 4 cycles, they were able to come to a situation na kaya na nung ating farmers cooperative mag-deliver sa commissary ng Jollibee. And take note, hindi sila bumibili higher than market price. No? They're still buying at market price. But because they decided to buy directly from this cooperative, and you can imagine po, talagang napakaraming sibuyas po niyan kasi napakalaki po ng Jollibee, yung mga farmers, nakapagplano na sila sa kanilang buhay. Because they knew na meron na silang income na regular or as much as possible, yung pinaka-regular na naranasan po nila, yung they were able to plan for their families, yung mga anak po nila nakapagpapasok na po sa school, yung mga bahay po nila naging konkreto, naging cement block na po, nakabili sila ng mga sasakyan, ng motor, and yung binisita po namin sila, at when we left, no, naglabasan na po sila ng cellphone, no, para makipag-selfie at makipag-picturean. No? So, ibig sabihin, kahit po sila, no, they were able to really do better because of this supply chain. Because they were part, yung kanilang negosyo, which of course is the onion business, ay naging part ng isang mas formal na supply chain. Now, how does that work in our setting? No? It could mean that maybe the more stable businesses in our area, mahikayat natin na bumili internally, no, sa mga fellow Malabonians. Or for example, if we can reach out to bigger companies outside of Malabon and try to link up our smaller MSMEs, maybe through the negosyo center, and allow them to be able to supply regularly, no, to groups that will buy regularly also. No, so this supply chain is important because kapag part ka na ng isang formal supply chain, yung stability ng mas malaking kumpanya, nasi-share mo na rin. No, kumbaga parang, 'di ba, kung if you're old enough to remember yung commercial, parang nakasandal sa pader, parang ganoon po 'yon, no? Yung mga mas maliliit nating negosyo, kapag part sila ng isang formal supply chain ng isang kumpanya na mas malaki, mas established or mas regular, it could even be simply a restaurant na okay pa, buying raw materials directly from other partners. It could be, consumables, no, ng ating local government o ng ating school, and we're buying it also from our communities na tinutulungan. That supply chain, no, creates a lot, leverages a lot of stability. At yun ho siguro yung isang kailangan mas maitulak natin, no. That leads to the third, no, the third way to help SMEs, and that's to buy local. No, ito ho, this is already spreading all over social media. I think hindi ko na po kailangan i-explain, but definitely buying local is so important now in our setting na nasa pandemya po tayo. As much as possible, maging maalam tayo kung saan tayo bumibili, no? In our own way, dito po sa aming pamilya, we do our best to buy from small food businesses. And I keep on telling people, kung gusto niyo tumulong, hindi na mahirap. Tumingin sa Facebook, tumingin sa Instagram. There are people selling food, there are people selling different things, not because it's just their hobby, but because they need to, no? Yung isang favorite example ko po dyan, no, there was one time kami po ng misis ko, kumakain kami, and naghanda siya ng chicken inasal, no? Chicken inasal, napakasarap. And sabi ko nga, honey, okay to, saan mo nakuha to? Sabi niya, yan, gawa yan nung isang kaibigan ko na choreographer noon na-hire ng ABS-CBN. Nung nawala yung ABS-CBN, nawalan siya ng trabaho, nawalan siya ng racket, and napilitan siya to go into this kind of business. So sabi ko, sige, double purpose to. First purpose, para matulungan siya. Let's try to patronize his business by buying from him. And pangalawa, nag-enjoy pa tayo ng chicken inasal kasi to be fair, masarap talaga yung chicken inasal niya. No? So, marami tayong matutulungan, marami rin tayong mabibigyan ng opportunities. And in a pandemic, sa panahon na milyon-milyong Pilipino yung nawalan ng trabaho, napakaraming napilitan mag-online selling, sabi ko nga po, hindi na po mahirap, no? Hindi na po mahirap maghanap ng tutulungan. We simply have to look at our telephone, our Facebook friends, no? Yung ating telepono, yung ating contact list. Lahat ba ng mga kamag-anak natin, lahat ba sila may trabaho? Lahat ba sila may pinagkakitaan? Yung mga classmate natin. Ako po, no, during this pandemic, I had a batchmate who was based in Bulacan. Nawalan po siya ng kanyang pinagkakitaan. So, for a time, we would buy mga Bulacan goods from him, and our batch really supported him by buying Bulacan goods because wala siyang ibang paraan para kumita. No? So, if we want to help, this is another way of helping. No? Another way to support our entrepreneurs na alam ho natin na nagdinegosyo dahil talagang kailangan nila itong gawin. So that's another way to support. And if we can do that institutionally, mas maganda kasi po yung purchasing power natin lumalaki rin. Okay, next slide. Another way to help our SME, ito bagay na bagay po sa City of Malabon University to fund digital transformation and pivoting. Bakit? No? Nakita ho natin na yung mga nagtuloy na mga negosyo, yung mga businesses na either malaki na and therefore malaki po yung kanilang bank account, no? Meron silang pinanghihuhugutan ng kaperahan, or yung nakapag-pivot digitally. Hindi nahirapan na magkaroon ng digital aspect to their business. And the truth is, napaka-sexy pong sabihin, oh, let's sell online. Oh, let's go digital, Facebook Marketplace, let's sell on Instagram. But the truth is, hindi ho lahat ng mga nagninegosyo, especially yung mga mas traditional na mga businesses, yung nakapag-transition. So I was saying, if there's one way to help our SMEs, it's to provide learnings, no? Yung isang foundation po na kasama rin po ako, yung tayo, no? 10 Accomplished Youth Organizations. We award youth organizations every year. May isa po kaming na-award years ago. Sila po mga estudyante na nagte-training sa kanilang mga guro kung paano gumamit ng technology. So isipin nyo, from 8 to 3, tinuturuan po sila ng kanilang mga teacher. At 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, sila po yung nagtuturo sa mga teacher po nila kung paano gumamit ng technology. Of course, this was many years ago, no? But naisip ko lang po, napakaganda pong programa kung may reach out or outreach po yung ating student body or yung ating eskwelahan, how to support our entrepreneurs na hindi po gaanong maalam sa teknolohiya. Because ngayon po, napakalaking challenge po niyan, no? It's very difficult to operate now na wala kayong online component. Ngayon po na at any time, baka mag-lockdown po bigla. Magulantang naman tayo sa isang lockdown, no? Then all of these businesses will have to close their physical stores. Dapat may business continuity po sila to sell online with a logistics platform, with a financing partner, etc., etc. So kahit po yun, no, mahalaga na meron tayong paraan para masuportahan natin yung digital transformation po ng ating mga businesses, no? And last point, for how to help our SMEs is we need to recognize the importance of SMEs. No, bakit? Unang-una po, yung karamihan ng mga nagdinegosyo sa Pilipinas, over 99%, no, 99.6% are MSMEs, no, micro, small, and medium. Kung tagalin niyo po yung small tsaka medium, micro lang, no, and that's your sari-sari store, your food vendor, your online seller, ano po yan, yung may maliit na nasa Tiangge, yung may maliit na stall, ito po yung tinatawag na micro-entrepreneurs, yan po is almost 92%. No? Can you imagine, no? 92% of all businesses in the Philippines are micro. Yung malaki is actually 0.4%, and yung small and medium is also relatively small. So ibig ko sabihin yan, if you support your micro-entrepreneurs, you are supporting the backbone of your local economy. Kasi most entrepreneurs in the Philippines are micro. And most jobs come from the MSME sector. Ito yung hindi ho nakikita ng maraming tao. More than 60% of jobs are MSME-based. Our huge companies, no, yung mga talagang multinational or yung conglomerates na po na tinatawag po nila, they don't employ the majority of Filipinos. Majority of Filipinos still work sa ating pong MSMEs. Kaya mahalaga po talaga silang tulungan. And therefore, if you look at, and you can join me in this advocacy, no, every time I'm asked to speak sa mga fora, and a lot of those times kasama ko po yung mga kaibigan natin sa DTI or kaibigan natin sa iba't ibang mga ahensya, I always make it a point to say, ipaglaban natin yung ating micro, small, and medium enterprises, because if we're able to support them well, yung tulong ho natin sa kanila, mas malayo po yung marating. Pagdating po sa mas may multiplier effect po yung tulong natin sa kanila because they do employ a lot of our countrymen. Alright, so ano pong nakikita ho natin? No? Our MSMEs are very important to getting back on track. They're important to any economy, especially our economy. But also, if you're looking at rebounding, no, maybe third or fourth quarter of the year, or being able to sustain kahit papaano po yung ating mga kababayan na talagang nahihirapan na. No, a lot of support has to be there. And yes, marami ho dito, government, no, national government yung kailangan gumawa. Pero marami din po dyan can be done even in our own circles, no? yung pagbibili po ng local products, yung pagtingin po sa mga inclusive supply chains, yung pagtulong po sa mga kaibigan ho natin to pivot digitally. These are all things that we can already do even on our own. And sabi ko nga, no, hindi na mahirap na maghanap ng matutulungan, no, kasi within our own circles, no, our own family members, our own classmates, our own social circles, no, napakarami na ho nating mahahanap na nangangailangan po ng tulong. Next slide, please. So anong nakita natin, no, with this pandemic, no? Of course, with all the difficulties, all the challenges, no, and you know, there are many days, especially po nung March and April, talagang pinagdadasal ko po si Mayor Len tsaka si Ate Melissa, no, because I know the challenges in Malabon and for our mayors and local leaders, napakatindi talaga, no. So definitely marami ho talagang challenges, marami pong paghihirap na naidulot po ang pandemyang ito. But if you want to look at you know, the silver lining to this cloud, sabi nga ho nila, you can think of it as a big reset, no? Nag-reset. Nag-reset bigla. Na-force tayong lahat na mag-reset. We're forced to do things differently now, no? Next slide, please. Yung pagtuturo, as many of you know, napilitan tayong mag-adapt ng mga bagong pamaraan, and that's reset, no? My youngest child, si Coco, ang kanyang first experience of school is in front of a laptop. I mean, can you imagine that? Diba? Ang hirap isipin, no? So the way we teach has been reset. No? Next slide, please. The way we worship has also been reset. Ako po, more than 1 year na po kung hindi nakapunta sa simbahan. No? And for somebody who used to go to mass every Sunday, parang ang hirap isipin na isang taon na po na hindi ako nakakatungtong sa isang simbahan. And yet, you know, we've found ways to pray in another way. You know, we've found ways to worship in another way. Next slide. Kahit po yung pagde-date, nagbago na rin, no? Sa mga single po dito, no? Sabi ko sa akin ni Chef Melissa, marami daw po kasing single dito sa CMU. But I'm sure kahit po yung paraan ng paghahanap ng ating mahal sa buhay, nagbago na rin. Diba? We were all forced to reset. No? Next slide. Now that we're in this period of redefining, no, all of these processes, maganda ho siguro to go into that process of trying to think, ngayon na may chance tayo mag-reset, ano ba yung mga bagay na dapat iiwan na natin? No? Iwan na natin. Maybe some bad habits, some processes that we feel maybe are self-defeating, or di kaya po mga proseso na masyadong masalimuot or masyadong madrama or masyadong mahirap na hindi na ho nakababuti, baka kailangan iiwan na ho natin. And then, we focus on the things that are good. We focus on the things that we know are helping other people, that make us happy, helps our family, maybe the good habits that we need to develop. These are all things na mahalaga pong maisip natin now that we're in this period of a pandemic, no? Even I'm sure in your school, no, sabi po ni Mayor Len kanina, nagbabago na rin yung kultura, no? So I'm sure, no, this pandemic has also forced all of us to take a look again at where we are. And more importantly, to take a look at what's next. Nakakita po ako ng isang survey, no? Medyo uso po yung mga survey ngayon. Sabi nila yung mga Pilipino, hindi na daw po tumitingin sa future. Nakatingin na lang sa right now. And totoo naman po, no, sa hirap na dinaranas na napakarami nating kababayan, sa difficulty nitong pandemic, napakahirap na po na tumingin outside of next week. Kung next week yan, hindi mo alam kung papasok ka o hindi. Next week, hindi mo alam kung magkaka-lockdown. Hindi mo alam kung may tulong o wala. No, napakahirap po talaga. But I think, no, as leaders in our school, we need to start asking these questions, no? What's next for our community? What's next for our school? What's next for our youth? Yung kausap ko po kahapon, he raised a very important issue, no, na talagang napaisip ako. Sabi niya, we have a lost generation because those who will be graduating will have to compete with all of those who lost their jobs and all of those who graduated last year. So all of them, parang tatlong set ng mga tao yan magko-compete for the same jobs, no, when the pandemic ends. And that's going to create a lot of difficulty. That's going to create a lot of problems for our young people. So ngayon po na naka-reset tayo, maganda ho siguro, you know, iwaksin na natin yung mga bagay na talagang hindi ho maganda. Let's focus on the things that really work. And then let's start little by little. Alam ko po napakahirap, but let's start little by little thinking about ano po yung susunod and preparing for it. Kasi napakahirap naman po kung, you know, I really believe that by next year, this will end. This pandemic will be finished. No? May light po at the end of the tunnel. But we need to prepare for what's at the end of that tunnel. Kailangan po preparado po tayo dyan. And for many of our students, no, it's as what Chef Melissa had said, Ate Melissa, what she said, or sorry, Prof. Melissa pala said kanina, na a lot of the skills, a lot of the learnings, they need to be prepared for what will come next. And I think yun po yung isang malaking challenge para po sa lahat sa atin. Now, let me end with these 3 pabaon. No? Ending na po ito, don't worry. 3 pabaon. Unang-una, please don't forget to buy local. Let's help our fellow Filipinos, especially yung mga nagdinegosyo dahil napilitan po sila. No, before, manghihikayat ka, oh, magnegosyo kayo, maganda yan, pwedeng sideline, pwedeng pandagdag. Marami ho tayong kababayan na pilitan pong magnegosyo dahil nawalan po sila ng trabaho o nawalan ng kinikita. Let's support them by buying local. Pangalawa, a group that Mayor Len is also part of, yung Kaya Natin, at the beginning of the pandemic last year, raised millions of pesos for our frontliners and for our typhoon victims and for different communities. I think we also helped raise, we were a conduit for Malabon at some point, no, with Chef Melissa. But gusto ko lang po ito banggitin because in all of my years of public service, no, since 2001, no, when I was in the National Youth Commission, and even when I was a student, never po ako naka-raise ng ganito kalaking pera. Never pa po ako naka-raise ng ganito kalaking pera. And secondly, this amount was given through thousands upon thousands of donors. Yung average po ng mga nagdo-donate sa Kaya Natin, and in turn, tina-turn over po namin yan sa Office of the Vice President para po sa implementation. Yung karamihan po sa kanila, yung na-donate is less than 2,000 pesos. So which means that ito pong perang na-raise ng Kaya Natin, no, through all of these online portals, galing po yan sa libo-libong mga kapwa Pilipino na alam ho nating nahihirapan din. And that for me is one of the most inspiring things I saw in this pandemic, na kahit lahat po tayo naghihirap dahil sa pandemya, lahat po tayo may kanya-kanyang pinagdadaanan, nahanap pa rin po ng mga kababayan natin na tumulong sa mga mas nangangailangan. And this was March all the way till almost the end of the year. Tuloy-tuloy po yun. No? Karamihan po ng mga donation drive kasi sa totoo lang, in my experience, there's usually 2 or 3 big donors, no? Mga malalaking kumpanya o mayayaman na tao, tapos yung iba, kukunti na lang. But in this case, wala hong malaking donor. Most of the support was really from our fellow Filipinos na bibigay ng kanilang pinaghirapang pera. And that was, for me, one of the most inspiring things. And lastly, di ko na ho siguro to kailangang sabihin kasi si Mayor Len naman po nandito. Don't forget, please register. There are about 10 million Filipinos who are still unregistered. No? Marami ho dyan, unfortunately, mga kabataan. So if we can find ways to support our registration process, let's get more people registered. Let's convince our young people to register. Alam ko po, mahirap sa panahon ng pandemya na pumila sa COMELEC, pero ito po yung isang sakripisyo na kailangan po nating gawin if we do want a better tomorrow for our children and for ourselves. No? So let me end there. Maraming salamat po ulit sa inyong pag-imbita. I hope that may na-pick up po kayo kahit konti. And as Kuya Len and Ate Melissa know, I'm always a call away, a text away for CMU and of course for the whole city of Malabon. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Bam. As we proceed with the question and answer portion, is there anybody from the group who would like to ask our speaker anything about the talk?
We have questions sa chat. I can read
Yes,
I'm sorry,
from
what's
Sir
Ayon, is
Elmer.
that I'm sorry, what's your name, ma'am, our host?
I'm Prof. K.
Kay, okay, thank you, Kay.
Yes.
You want Kay, simulan na natin dito sa chat box, no? If
Okay,
you
sir.
want. Okay, sige. What are the challenges facing small and medium enterprises? That's from Elmer, no? At sabi rin niya, what supply chain challenges? Well, the main challenges, of course, is puhunan. No, that's the challenge before the pandemic and during the pandemic, puhunan, no? Because kung wala kang puhunan, wala kang negosyo, no? And karamihan ng mga kababayan po natin, ang pinagkukuhanan ng puhunan 5-6. And as many of you know, it seems like a good deal because ikaw yung inaalok ng pera, but at the end of the day, kahit i-compute mo pa yung negosyo mo, mahirap talagang bayaran yan, no? Mahirap i-hurdle yung interest rate and payment terms ng isang 5-6, no? So We need to find other ways for our small and medium enterprises to be able to get loans or to be able to get support na mas abot kaya yung mga terms. No? In other countries, I hate to keep on saying in other countries, but sinasabi ko lang po yan kasi normal po ito. Itong mga sinasabi ko, hindi po to extraordinary. These are normal programs in other countries. They would do a massive guarantee program, for example, for our SMEs during times of calamity. Mag-guarantee program sila para, para government shares in the burden or shares in the risk of our MSMEs. No? So that's the first. Yung pangalawa is really being able to link to market. Kasi as you can see, one way to look at poverty, yung isang way po na makita ang kahirapan is you can look at it as a lack of access. No? Wala kang access to education. Therefore, yung types of jobs na makukuha mo, hindi mo na makukuha yung mas magagandang trabaho dahil wala kang edukasyon, wala kang tertiary degree. Or for example, access to connections. No? Yung maliit na tindahan, hindi naman siya papansinin ng isang malaking kumpanya kasi maliit lang siya. No? Pero kung yung mga maliliit, nagsama-sama, nagtulungan, pwede na silang mapansin ng mga mas malalaking kumpanya. No? So, there are a lot of challenges, but all of that can be overcome with the right intervention. No? With the right intervention from the non-government organizations, from government, may mga interventions na pwede magawa para malampasan yung mga challenges na iyan. Okay, a supply chain challenge to, simple lang. For our small and medium enterprises, especially yung micro, the main supply chain challenge is connections. And again, that's where the leverage of government can come in, is by creating those connections, creating those linkages. And the problem of quality and design. Okay, what do I mean? One of the social enterprises I founded that's still alive until now is Rags to Riches. No? I'm sure some of you narinig na po yun. Sila yung gumagawa ng mga magagandang mga bags, no, nagawa ng mga designer, pero yung nagtatahi, mga kababaihan mula sa payatas. No? So we started that also in 2008. And when we began, without the support of our fashion designers to give the right design or train the nanays on how to make the designs, yung gawa po nila, hindi talaga bibilhin yung mga tinatawag na alta. Hindi ko nila bibilhin kasi hindi ko talaga ganun kaganda. No? But the intervention there was connecting them to the right designer, exposing them to fashion shows, exposing them to, ngayon po, mga sites na, no? At that time, mga magazines in 2008, no? Para makita nila, ano ba talaga yung disenyo na kaya nating mabenta yung mga produkto, no? Because at the end of the day, pag business po yan, labanan pa rin yan ng quality, labanan pa rin yan ng disenyo, no? So the design, the quality has to be there. And at the same time, the proper linkage, even a small or medium enterprise can be able to sell. Now that people are more inclined towards online selling, mas may chance tayo. Mas may chance yung maliliit, no? Kasi kung maganda yung photo, maganda yung pag-plate, kung pagkain ito, of course, si Prof. Melissa knows this so well. Kung maganda yung pagka-plate, maganda yung photo, and masarap, more importantly, masarap, even a small kitchen, even a home kitchen, will be able to compete. No? So, maraming challenges yan, Elmer. Or should I say, Sir Elmer? Kuya Elmer na pala, Kuya Elmer. Maraming challenges yan, pero walang hindi kayang lampasan. Okay, let me go to the next. The longer the government, this is from Princess. The longer the government tells us to stay home, the longer and deeper recession will be. At what point in time do we go from difficult to recover? Ay nako, yan ang number one question, I think. It's hard. It's tough. Parang, parang you're torn, no? At the same time, I think all of us, nung nakita nating umabot sa 5,000 yung cases, parang lahat tayo, mag-lockdown na. But at the same time, alam rin natin na all these businesses, lahat ng mga no work, no pay, will have talagang mahihirapan kung mag-lockdown tayo. So it's really very difficult, no? Mahirap siya. It's a balancing act. But siguro yung masasabi ko nilang, Princess, is that hindi siya or. Hindi siya or. Dapat and siya. Meaning, hindi siya let's support health pero payagan nating bumagsak yung ekonomiya. Or let's support the economy pero payagan nating tumriple yung kaso natin because other countries, and I'm sorry for again repeating myself, other countries 1 year after the pandemic, makikita natin that they figured it out. Makikita natin that they figured it out. Sa atin, napakalaki ng challenge, no? So we just need to really help each other. Let's help Mayor Len. I'm surprised nga, hindi pa parang si Elmer, si Mayor Len na puro puti yung buhok eh. Buti nga meron pa Mayor Len eh. Kasi ang hirap talaga ng trabaho eh, no? Hirap ng decision making, no? But I think if we do the necessary steps on the economy, we provide the right support. At the same time, smart tayo about lockdown, smart tayo about when to open, when to close, and we try to minimize it as much as possible. We'll get to a point like other countries na we really have this totally under control, no? Pero wag lang tayo matrap dun sa tanong na anong gusto mo, ekonomiya o kalusugan? Kasi it's not the right, it's ano eh, hindi siya either eh. Hindi magsusurvive yung Pilipinas kung isa lang dyan yung aksyonan natin. So we need to really look at both and really do the initiatives that can support both. Okay, marami niyo
For
palang tanong.
Yes, for the next
Uh,
question, we have from
yes, sige po.
Mr. Ray Karangian. He asked, what indicators do we use in order to determine appropriateness of proper funding for our MSMEs?
Size and payment terms. So, for example, a lot of the micro programs do weekly payments because a lot of the micro enterprises are daily businesses. Nagbebenta, may binibili ako, may binibenta ako, pinapaikot ko yung pera. So, weekly payments works because it provides more discipline in terms of payments. No? But weekly payments will not work for, kunyari, may nagtayo ng maliit na IT company, no? Maraming ganyan ngayon. 3 developers, all work from home. Weekly payments not going to work for them because they will get paid based on their completion of work, which is probably 2 to 3 months at a time. So mamumuhunan sila to buy equipment. They're not going to be able to pay that next week. They'll be able to pay that after 6 months or a year, di ba? So if you understand the business, you will be able to provide the appropriate type of financing. Yung nagiging problema, one size fits all na financing. And unfortunately, marami sa mga negosyo cannot fulfill a lot of the terms na binibigay sa kanila. Now, because nangangailangan, tatanggapin nila yan kahit alam nilang di nila mababayaran. Tapos bahala na si Batman. 'Di ba? That's the problem. So, if you have a negosyo center, for example, hopefully, or maybe Kuya Len in his office, no, meron siyang mga mas maalam ng konti sa business, can really look at these businesses and say, friend, huwag ka dyan umutang, dito ka umutang kasi may ipit ka lang dyan. No? To be honest, yung negosyo center was supposed to be the type of advice that they can give. No? I don't know if they're doing it now. No?
Okay, thank you, sir. Next question from the same person. What major IT challenges do small businesses face?
Ano pa? I think all of us know the answer to that question, which is steady, affordable, stable internet. Um, one of a lot of individuals, like I know a lot of BPOs have tried to do the work from home. In the end, hindi nila kaya. No? I don't know if you know of any successful naging totally work from home na BPO, na voice, because the internet couldn't handle it, no? So kailangan mo pa ring mag-congregate sa mga buildings na siguradong mabilis yung internet to be able to do that kind of business. Suddenly, because of online learning, the internet is at the center of everyone's home. In fact, may nagsabi, they have overtaken the TV as the center of the home. It's now the router. Yun na yung center of your home, no? And ang nag-drive niyan is online learning. I don't think that was the intention, pero yun yung naging consequence niya, no? Now that there's more usage, and I saw it, nakita ko yung what you call this, yung chart ng one of the telcos, no, yung usage nila tumaas during the pandemic, no. So the challenge still is how can we provide stable, fast, and affordable, if not free, internet, especially for the basics like education, like business. If there are policies, no, that we could do to provide this to our people. Because alam mo yon, if force mo yung mga tao na mag-online learning, dapat bigyan mo rin ng tulong pagdating sa internet, no? As somebody who has really looked at education for some time, I think that should have been one of the conditions, no? Is also to make sure na mas abot kaya at libre yung internet kung pipilitin natin yung milyong-milyong mga bata na mag-education online.
For CMU, Sir Bam, Mayor has provided us with SIM cards and gadgets. So very
Yun,
helpful naman when it comes to the online learning of our students. So thank you, Mayor, for the gadgets
buti na
and for the
lang.
SIM cards.
Buti na lang. Pero alam mo, si Kuya Len, Kuya Len always finds a way to put in all of the gaps, no? Fill in all of the gaps. Alam ko last year, nung start of the pandemic, he was also doing that, no? But honestly, itong mga gaps na to should have been covered by the national government. I'm gonna say that much, di ba?
Yes, the
Okay.
local government can only do so much. And of course, yung mga estudyante, they should also help themselves. Yan.
Yes.
Another question po, MSMEs have very important role in the development of the economy, but how can the government protect them? Is there any program or law that protects MSMEs?
Yes. Actually, marami namang batas, no, to protect your MSMEs. Pero unfortunately, marami ring scams, marami ring mangloloko, and all of us have to be careful about that, no? Um, yes, there are a lot of laws and programs helping our MSMEs, but at the end of the day, kailangan maalam rin tayo sa mga pinapasukan natin.
And another question from Ma'am Divina. Today, which is we are facing the pandemic, it is not the head of the family who is in hard times of looking into resources for their living, or but also the students. In what way can SMEs help in order for small families to survive poverty? And what is the best program of SMEs that may support our small families?
I wouldn't be surprised kung nagsa-sideline na rin sila, no? Wala po akong hard numbers, no? So the last one I saw was the 50,000 that registered during the pandemic, the new businesses. So I wouldn't be surprised kung marami po sa mga pamilya po natin who are having a difficult time are actually also selling on the side. So SME na po sila, MSME na po sila. No? Basta may binibenta ka, whether nakita mo yan sa Facebook, binili mo, niripak mo, binenta mo sa kapitbahay mo, you are an entrepreneur. 'Di ba? Or may nakita kang usong pagkain, ano ba yung mga uso ngayon? Ube pandesal, mga ganyan, o butcheron, mga ganun. May nakita ka sa Laguna, pinaship mo, pinakuha mo na, hinati-hati mo, binenta mo sa mga kamag-anak mo, you're already an entrepreneur. At yun po, walang edad ang pinipili, no? In fact, a lot of young people are doing that to get extra income. So, I think without anybody pushing anybody, nangyari na po yan naturally. The question is, how can we support those who have gone into business, yung mga nagdinegosyo na po ngayon, how can we support them further? Paano natin sila matutulungan para mas maging matagumpay? Kasi alam niyo po, yung ganyan ho kasi sa daily business, no? May nabili ako, may nabenta ako, kailangan ko ng konting, kahit konti lang kita ko, basta meron para sa aking pamilya. That's the situation of many of our families, no? So, we need to support them. The most basic, of course, is financial literacy. Kasi ang hirap po magpatakbo ng negosyo na yung basics po nito ay hindi ho natin alam, no? So, that's one way to support our MSMEs, really pushing for financial literacy. Yung isa pa po dyan is, of course, programs for capital, programs for financing. Lahat po na nabanggit ko po kanina, no? A lot of our MSMEs really need the support right now.
Next question. How can the government generate revenues for those businesses having it online, especially those, karamihan po kasi ng mga online sellers, they are not registered with DTI.
Well, alam mo, controversial to sasabihin ko, pero ano na muna, payagan na muna natin yung mga tao maghanap buhay, no? Ako, that's my suggestion. Payagan na muna natin silang kumita, no? Maybe after the pandemic, there are things na pwede nang after the pandemic, di ba? Palipasin na muna natin tong kahirapan na to, di ba? Honestly, a lot of online selling, bartering is happening na wala pong taxes na naibibigay. We can talk to the platforms, no, to put a levy, But honestly, right now, that a lot of families are just surviving based on Facebook Marketplace, Instagram, and mga ganyan. Siguro po payagan na muna natin sila na na magnegosyo. Tulungan na muna natin silang kumita bago ho natin pag-usapan yan.
I guess one of the question dun sa chat box was already answered earlier regarding ano yung patok na business ngayon. So, uh, Sir mentioned yung
Okay.
mga pastries, ganyan,
Nako, okay.
ganyan.
So, okay. Ito sasabihin ko. Lahat ng forum na puntahan ko, yan yung tanong. And unfortunately, mahirap sagutin. Kasi syempre, baka pasukin ninyo, sisihin nyo pa ako, o sisihin nyo si Mayor Len na advice kayo to go into this business, walang bumili ng butcheron ninyo, di ba? Mahirap po talaga. Pero ang best, the best answer I can give, the best businesses address your pain points. Kung saan ka nahihirapan, ano yung hinahanap mo, ano yung hinahanap ng pamilya mo, ano yung hinahanap ng kapitbahay mo, ano yung problema sa inyong lugar, ano yung kanilang hilig. Kung alam mo yung sitwasyon mo, alam mo yung sitwasyon ng kapitbahay mo, you will be able to find a business that can address those pain points, and you're in the best position to be able to go into business. Because I always say, no, ang mga negosyante po natin, problem solvers. No, they're able to find solutions to problems, a market solution to a problem, hindi ho natin mahanapan ng solusyon. No? So for example, kung noon, no, before the pandemic, no, kung walang naghahanap ng mabilis na pagkain na medyo kaya naman afford, 'di ba? Then hindi magkakaroon ng fast food, no, because it solves a problem. Or for example, si Grab at si Uber, 'di ba? Kung yung public transportation natin, yung taxi system, napakaganda, napakaayos, hindi naman po tatangkilikin yung mga ride sharing. But because there was a gap in our transportation mechanisms, nagkaroon ng spasyo itong mga ride sharing. So they addressed a problem at pumatok sila. So, rather than asking ano yung patok, because malay nyo ho, yung patok sa Quezon City, hindi pala po patok sa Malabon, no? Hindi natin alam. Alamin natin ano ba yung hinahanap ng mga tao sa lugar ko? Ano ba yung mga problema nila na pwede kong subukang matulungan? Because somewhere there in that process, makakahanap tayo ng negosyo.
This
Oops, nakamute ka,
Nakamute.
okay?
sorry, Prof. Melissa, as an educational institution, how can CMU be instrumental in empowering SMMEs today and
Yep.
for the negosyante of tomorrow? How can we strengthen our curriculum or any suggestion for student activities?
Okay, I will volunteer to help out kung may mga gusto ko yung gawin sa
Thank you
entrepreneurship
very
because
much po.
hindi na ako kailangan alokin ni Professor Melissa, no? Ako na mismo yung nagvo-volunteer, but there are ways to include financial literacy and entrepreneurship in the current curriculum kasi mahalaga po talaga siya now. It is a life skill na hindi na pwedeng palampasin. And then yung activities, no, maybe you can have an online bazaar, you can have ways to support the businesses of your students, or for example, pwede kayong magpa-competition, provide a little puhunan, and then the best products, you can assure them of sales. No, you don't have to give away money. Mas maganda yung assurance of sales, no, assurance of support. So there are ways to do it. Again, inclusive supply chain. If we can find institutions that can support your students' businesses, kahit even if it's just a few in the beginning, that will mean a lot. Kasi makikita ng mga ibang classmates na, si ganto kumikita, no? Meron siyang extra kasi may negosyo sila, may nagagawa siyang produkto na maganda or maayos, then that can really help out, no? So I'm sure may business course kayo, we can start there. And we can also try to support even the ideation ng mga estudyante on what possible businesses they can go to. So I can get some friends to also support us there to help in that process.
Thank you very much po. Actually, sir, we're in the middle of our curriculum review, and one of the uh, emphases that we want to focus on is entrepreneurial management, financial literacy, and siguro po yung Youth Entrepreneurship Act that you have
Yeah.
authored, siguro it would contribute greatly in order to strengthen yung knowledge ng mga bata regarding financial literacy.
Sure.
Ayan po.
I'm a willing volunteer for CMU. So just send me lang what you have na files. I'll take a look and see. Pero mas maganda kasi yung may activity para maramdaman talaga nila how it is.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Any other question? Very happy si Prof. Any other questions po for our speaker? Uh, Prof. Mayor, do you have any question po?
Actually, no question. I would just like to thank Senator Bam for giving his time and for agreeing to help us out. No, malaking bagay yon. Actually, that would add confidence to our student body and our professors. With Senator Bam backing us up, definitely experience mo sa Happy Noy and all these rags to riches, malaking tulong yon. Actually, in any crisis, there is opportunity. So, wag tayo mawawala ng pag-asa. If we want to succeed, we can succeed. It's just that, yun nga, building the connections, all these things, dadating din tayo doon. So, do not despair. May pag-asa ba? May pag-asa pa, basta humihinga. Wag lang kayo
Exactly.
mahahawaan, wag kayo manghahawa. Yun lang yun talaga. Thank you, Senator Bam.
Thank you, Kuya Len. Thank you, Prof. Melissa and Kay and everyone here sa City of Malabon University. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And serious ako doon. Just send me, Prof can just send me in our chat yung mga literature ninyo and I'll take a look and we'll put something up.
Thank you very much, sir. And in behalf of CMU, we would like to present to you a certificate of appreciation. The City of Malabon University proudly presents the Certificate of Appreciation to Senator Paul Benigno A. Aquino IV in recognition of his invaluable contribution as guest speaker in the BED Talk with the topic The Development of Small and Medium Enterprises and Social Enterprises as Few Keys to Nation Building and Economic Progress, held March 17, 2021 via Zoom meeting, given the 17th day of March 2021, signed by our University President, Honorable Mayor Antolin A. Oreta III. Thank you very much, sir. And
Thank
we
you so
are
much.
hoping
Salamat.
for more future endeavors with you, sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much.
And may I call on our Vice President for Administration and Finance for his closing remarks. Let us all welcome Dr. Michael Darwin D. Domingo.
Yes, good evening po to each and everyone. First and foremost, I would like to thank Senator Bam. Very informative po yung discussion. And there are three things na talaga pong na-enjoy ko ng gusto. Yung first, in order for us to be a builder, we need to have three M's. As mentioned, we have money for financing, mentoring, and market linkages. I am very particular, sir, with regards to your mentoring because if we would like to be a nation builder, being a social entrepreneur, I agree that there is a need for mentoring. And based on sa question kanina ni Chef Melissa, CMU can be of help in mentoring our youth, our students, in venturing in a social entrepreneurship. Kasi for information po ng lahat, marami kasi talagang mga CME students are now venturing into online selling. Now, may mga ilan dyan, kilala ko talaga, sir, na even before pandemic, they are already in the business. So with proper mentoring and more financial literacy, probably they can really be of help for not only for CMU, for their family, but as well for the country. So in behalf of the CMU family, sir, we would like to thank you for sharing your valuable time and for giving us insights about social entrepreneurship and how can we be a nation builder. Again, thank you very much. At sa lahat po na umaten sa ating webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Senator Bam.
BPAF. Thank you. And this is Prof. K. Ignacio. I'll see you
Thank
on
you.
our next bed talks. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bam. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, BP Doms. Thank you,
Thank
Prof.
you,
K.
ma'am.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Okay, doctor. Short and sweet.